The crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant has found the exact place where radioactive water is leaking at the #1 reactor. Tokyo Electric Power Company is examining damage to the reactor's containment vessel, which holds melted nuclear fuel from the 2011 accident. The water is leaking near a pipe joint that penetrates the containment vessel. A robot camera image shows a black area on the brown pipe. The leak point is above a donut-shaped unit called a suppression chamber. A robot survey detected flows of contaminated water last November. The chamber is in the lower part of the containment vessel. Utility officials believe water from the damaged pipe is flowing to the lower part of the vessel. They say they will study ways to stop the leak. Tepco plans to remove the melted nuclear fuel after plugging the leaks and filling the vessels with water. This would serve as a shield against radiation. A water leak has also been found in the containment vessel of the #3 reactor. Officials say they will now investigate the suppression chamber and other parts of the #2 reactor.
Japan's crippled Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant may soon begin creating a sunken wall of frozen soil. The aim is to prevent groundwater from becoming contaminated with radioactive material as it passes through the facility's grounds. Officials from the plant's operator, Tokyo Electric Power Company, provided details of the plant to Nuclear Regulation Authority officials. Commissioner Toyoshi Fuketa of the NRA suggested they will approve the project. Work on the frozen wall may begin as early as June. Tepco plans to construct a frozen barrier around reactors numbers 1 through 4. NRA officials requested that Tepco assess how the ground structure could be affected by the wall. The utility was also asked to provide a backup plan for a possible failure. Tepco explained that the reactor buildings would sink by less than government-set limits for such facilities.
Engineers in Japan are using robots to go where people can't, and that new technology is helping to clean up Fukushima's damaged nuclear plant. Residents are hopeful the project could help those living away from coastal areas get back into their homes. NHK World's Yuzo Notsuhara explains.
This robot moves its arms just like a human. The advanced robot was developed by a large company in Tokyo that makes construction equipment.
When you move the right lever forward, the right arm moves forward. The left arm is operated by my left hand. You can use the right hand to pick something up, and the left to cut it with a blade.
The robot is widely used to dismantle objects and clean up rubble. After the nuclear disaster, the company developed a more compact version. It is an eighth of the original size and can be operated remotely. It was used at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant last July. It also cleaned up debris in the building that houses the plant's reactor. This robot picks up contaminated materials. It can also make holes in the concrete of the reactor building. Collected samples help determine the contamination level of the radioactive material. The device is invaluable in areas with high levels of radiation, as well as playing a role in decommissioning reactors. This advanced technology is now expected to help rebuild the disaster area. With the help of the local officials and private companies, the national government has set up a research committee.
If we want to get people to come back, it's going to be important to invite new industries and offer new employment opportunities.
The committee is making plans to create jobs for returning residents. It will invite domestic and international science and technology research institutes and manufacturers to the area. This includes the firm that makes robots.
People in the disaster-hit areas want more than just talk. The Japanese cabinet needs to come up with a plan that is acceptable to them.
The town of Naraha is less than 20 kilometers from the nuclear power plant. Residents are not allowed to return to most parts of the town. Partnering with technological institutions is a major part of the town's rebuilding project. It will help secure a stable life for the grateful residents after they return. The town invited a research company, the checks and test robots, to set up in the area. The construction of their new facility has already begun.
I want the government to create and maintain the budget for the project on a permanent basis. This is our town's future, and I want to impress upon the government how much we need their support.
Will robots and technology companies make a difference in rebuilding this town? Residents count on the government's support as the project advances. Yuzo Notsuhara, NHK World, Fukushima.
The research committee will submit their proposals by the end of June, and they aim to get the project into the government's budget for the next fiscal year.
.88 microsievert per hour. Today is 26th of April, year 2014. 浪江町小野田エリア、福島プリフェクチャージャパン。8.57 microsievert per hour. 14.41 microsievert per hour. Nami's black dust, where radioactive particles have been accumulated. Figure is jumping up above the black dust. .73 microsievert per hour. 130 microsievert per hour.
Tonight's Green Report, we go to Japan, where radiation levels have spiked to an all-time high in the seawater surrounding Japan's crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant. Earlier this month, Tokyo Electric Power Company announced they had detected similar levels in groundwater at the plant, but say that the cause of this spike is still unknown. Tepco has been trying to reduce contamination at the damaged nuclear site, but almost every week we hear of another leak, another spill, and radiation levels that keep rising. Officials plan to contain radiation with a huge underground ice wall around Fukushima, but Japan's Nuclear Regulatory Authority has not approved that plan because of concerns for public safety. In addition, international experts have expressed doubt over how effective such a plan would even be at protecting the public and keeping radiation out of the groundwater. Tepco has proven that they are not capable of dealing with this massive problem, and the situation at Fukushima has gotten worse, not better. It's time for the international community to step in and prevent an even more serious disaster.
Central government leaders are asking two towns in Fukushima Prefecture for permission to build intermediate storage facilities for highly radioactive waste. The towns of Futaba and Okuma are located near the damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Environment Minister Nobuteru Ishihara met the mayors of the towns ahead of a public briefing for residents. Fukushima Prefecture and other local authorities requested the government establish legal measures to remove the waste from the prefecture within 30 years. The waste would be moved to final disposal sites. Ishihara said the government will fulfill the request by establishing a state corporation to manage the facilities. The minister said opinions of local residents will be considered when dismantling the facilities. He said dismantling would be part of the region's recovery and development.
We haven't ironed out the differences. It's true, we still need to review various points. These will be discussed going forward.
We will have a public briefing, but this will not be an occasion for local residents to say yes or no to the plans.
The government hopes to begin shipping nuclear waste to the towns in January.
The Trade Promotion Agency is throwing its weight behind efforts to boost exports of farm products from the country's different regions. The government is trying to double the exports of agricultural produce by the year 2020. The Japan External Trade Organization has chosen products from 10 regions for a fresh export drive. Among them are marine products from Tokyo's Tsukiji wholesale market, scallops from Hokkaido, and bonsai potted trees from Kagawa Prefecture. JETRO officials say these are promising products with at least some demand in overseas markets, but it will be a major challenge to find marketing channels. The officials plan to set up a sales target for each category and help the producers to inspect overseas markets. Japan are feeling the pinch from last month's consumption tax hike, but at least one group are happy, and that's restaurant managers. Restaurant chains brushed off the impact of the hike in April, posting a second straight rise in monthly sales. Officials from the Japan Food Service Association say sales were up more than 2% in April from the same month last year. Family-style restaurant chains did particularly well, with sales rising 5%. Restaurant operators credit new menus and discount coupons for the rise. Fast food restaurants added 0.9% to sales, but some outlets had to raise prices after the tax hike, driving away some customers. Still, officials from the association say the impact of the tax hike has been limited, and many restaurant operators continue to report strong sales for May. The industry has been struggling lately with a different problem, a shortage of part-time workers in Japan's improving job market. The problem has even forced some restaurants to close. Industry watchers say the lack of manpower could influence future sales.
The Prime Minister is again showing his support for the country's female workforce. Ron Madison joins me with the latest. Ron.
Yeah, Shinzo Abe has been really pushing his strategies for getting the country on a strong path to recovery, and he does say that women are a big part of that equation. So he has once again renewed his commitment to bringing more women into the labor force. He also stressed that his administration will improve its financial support for child-rearing families. Abe spoke on Tuesday at a meeting held in Tokyo to discuss ways to enhance the position of working women in society. He called on corporate Japan to change its male-dominant thinking, noting that half the consumers in the country are women. He said he's convinced that women playing more active roles will lead to a vibrant Japan.
We will aim by 2020 to create a society where women fill over 30% of key positions. To build such a structure in the entire country, we will carry out policies to encourage business leaders to work out plans to train women and promote them to managerial posts.
Abe also said his government will help create more nursery schools, so no women who are willing to work have to stay home to look after their children.
Workers have gained reputation for putting in long hours, but members of the government panel say some employees should be rewarded based on their performance. Some say that could lead to exploitation. Members of the panel suggested last month that skilled, high earners should be paid according to merit rather than hours of work. They're drawing up a list of professions that would be subject to their rules and those that would be exempt. They suggest some managers, consultants and other professionals should be paid in line with their results. They say construction workers, sales staff and other service personnel should be paid hourly. Opposition critics fear the plan could lead to unpaid overtime and excessive working hours, and union leaders organized protests in a number of cities.
Suicides and death from overwork are at an historic high. This has to stop.
Union leaders have complained that they do not have a representative on the government panel.
Japanese officials working on a new strategy for growth are turning to science. They say cutting-edge research could draw foreign investment and help bolster the economy. The officials plan to earmark funding for work on a range of technologies, including innovations in energy and healthcare. They included their ideas in a draft strategy. Government leaders are set to adopt it next month. The draft promises support in a number of fields. Officials plan to allocate $28 million in this year's budget for research into cars that run on hydrogen fuel cells. They'll set aside more than $23 million for studies on predicting tornadoes and other natural disasters. And about $60 million will go into research on mining rare metals. People in charge of the plan hope scientists will come up with marketable technologies in time for the 2020 Olympics.
More of the millions of tourists who visit Japan each year are stepping off cruise ships when they arrive. And size matters here because bigger vessels bring bigger benefits. But some communities are having trouble rolling out the welcome mat. NHK World's Estella Mack explains.
The 130,000-ton Voyager of the Seas entered the port of Naha in Okinawa Prefecture. The gigantic cruise ship from Taiwan is over 300 meters long. Large cruise liners like this one behind me are becoming a more common sight here. City authorities are hoping the increasing number of tourists will help to boost the local economy. 88 large foreign cruise ships carrying some 130,000 passengers are scheduled to call at Naha this year. That's more than 3 times as many as a decade ago. Naha is now the 3rd busiest cruise destination in Japan.
It looks so beautiful on TV. I wanted to see it for myself.
I'm going sightseeing with my friends and shopping.
For many years, large cruise ships stopping at Naha had to use a wharf designed for cargo vessels. But that wharf is a long way from the city center. In 2006, the central government launched a $166 million project to build a terminal exclusively for large cruise ships. The terminal opened in April this year. passengers can now walk to the center of town. Welcoming foreign visitors is a community-wide effort. Local authorities have even provided Chinese-speaking guides.
We are offering visitors a taste of local hospitality.
Okinawa prefectural authorities estimate the cruise ship business will be worth around $41 million this year alone.
We're pinning high hopes on cruise ships to help reinvigorate local communities and the economy.
Japan has about 1,000 ports. Last year, 50 of them welcomed cruise ships weighing 50,000 tons or more. Local governments are actively encouraging cruise ships to call. Tokyo is a promising cruise destination with many scenic spots. The problem is that even the biggest bridges in Tokyo are too low for large cruise ships to sail under. The span of the Rainbow Bridge across Tokyo Bay is 52 meters above sea level. Cruise ships have gotten bigger since it was built, so the bridge is now too low for giant vessels to pass beneath it. To address the problem, the Tokyo government announced plans to build a wharf for large cruise ships close to the Rainbow Bridge, but is taking a back seat to building facilities for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. An operator of cruise ships that sail to Japan says officials should carefully consider the size of the facility.
There's plenty of time until the Olympics, so we should consider building a large port big enough for 2 ships to dock at a time. Otherwise, we may have to go back later and rebuild the whole thing.
The Land and Infrastructure Ministry is also doing its part. In March, officials there launched a website that offers information on tourist attractions near cruise ship ports. Foreign cruise ships have become a key pillar of Japan's growth strategy.
Cruise ships are indeed loaded with treasure. They promote trade and tourism. We'll do everything to bring more to Japan.
The Japanese government aims to lure 20 million foreign visitors a year by 2020, double the current figure. To achieve that target, the country must do all it can to build a kind of infrastructure necessary to ensure that this opportunity doesn't just sail on by.